Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you a few of the arcade games that I play before I get onto the ladder. These games are specifically designed to improve certain skills in Starcraft. Three games that I'll be looking at are Marine Control, HotKatrina, and Darglean's Multitasking Trainer. You can find these on the arcade if you just search in the search bar. Now the reason I found these games to begin with was I started learning the core hotkey layout. And I felt like when I started learning it, the experience was of a new player, so I was pretty much starting again. Now these custom games help you to improve your skills from beginner to expert levels. And at the moment, I'm incorporating them every day before I jump onto the ladder. Let's jump into the first one. So this first custom game is called HotKatrina. This custom game is used to help build your muscle memory for building buildings. The goal of the game is to build buildings as soon as the text appears, as fast as possible, and without making any mistakes. Now the reason I chose this game in particular is because when you're using the core hotkey layout, your hotkeys have changed, and it takes a little while to build your muscle memory for the hotkeys up again. I still think it's useful for experienced players also. If your count is at 200 but your reaction time is above 1 second, you could really benefit from practicing this game. I usually play this game till the count hits 200 and I try to keep my reaction time under 1 second. There's not too much more to this game. I just like to do this one first to warm up and to make sure that my muscle memory gets in every single building. As when you're playing on the ladder, oftentimes you don't need to build buildings like the fusion core or the sensor tower. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Alright, so this game is called Darglean's Multitasking Trainer, and it's exactly how it sounds. You have a number of different challenges that you can choose from, all ranging in difficulty. So first off, what I usually like to do is to hotkey up my entire army and separate off my ghosts and my Vikings in separate control groups. I then set camera hotkeys for my supply depot location and my production. I then hotkey up all of my production buildings and start the game. If you have all of the options selected, the start of the game can be hectic, as you have to make sure that all your production buildings are producing units, your upgrades are going, and you're building supply depots. You also have to make sure that you're watching out for medevacs, high templars, and the movement locations. On top of all of that, you have to send 2 units to the watchtowers. The most common occurrences in the game are high templars, medevacs out on the map, and invisible units. It is important to move your army away from the high templars when they spawn, and move your ghosts into position separately using your hotkey. You always have to be on the lookout for invisible units, as observers are really hard to spot, as they don't give any attack alerts. Medevacs on the map are pretty easy to deal with. You just move to the location and click on the medevac. Perhaps the hardest thing about this game is to keep producing units. You have to make sure that you don't build too many units at once, otherwise you'll lose points. Locations spawn on the map, which you have to move your army to as quickly as possible. This can be difficult when you're dealing with challenges such as avoiding high templars and big army fights. Buildings and units will spawn on island locations, which you'll need to send out drops or Vikings to deal with. I like to send my Vikings, as I found that maintaining a large ground army is very important. Another aspect to this game is the watchtowers. Halfway through the scenario, an army will spawn which you'll need to deal with quickly. The key to this fight is mainly spreading out your units and making sure you're using them to the best of their abilities. This means using stim, using EMPs if needed, or in the case of Bailings, using your Marauders to tank at the front. Every now and again, Zerglings will appear and attack the unit that you place at the watchtower. After they've killed your unit, only 1 Zergling will remain, and you can easily retake it by sending 1 Marine over there again. This game will help to improve your multitasking skills, but it won't give you experience on the ladder where situations may be different. After playing this game for a while, everything becomes a pattern, which is the reason it becomes easier, but playing on ladder, often every game is different. I like to play this game until I get 90% overall. However, when I started playing this game, I could only manage around 80%. As long as you practice it a few times every day, you'll get better. I haven't been able to achieve over 93% yet, as some of the challenges, such as the production, make it near impossible. This last custom game is called Marine Control. This custom game is used to train your micro skills. You'll be put into scenarios where you have to micro your units against Zerglings and Banelings. Now, when I first played this game, it took me a very long time to get used to the micro required. I think it took me about 2 hours. However, now I can complete the game in around 10 minutes. This game will definitely improve your micro skills overall, and help you to recognize and deal with microable scenarios against other players. I'm just going to quickly go over some tips to complete the scenarios. Most of the first scenarios just require you to start a step back, killing as many Zerglings as possible before you split for the Banelings. However, you only have about 13 seconds per level, so you've got to make sure that you start a step efficiently and don't move too far away. In later levels like this one, you'll be presented with opportunities to use choke points. Standing in a choke point means that your Marines no longer have to start a step back and they won't be surrounded by Zerglings. This next scenario, you have to keep as many Marines and Marauders alive as possible. After you've killed the Zerglings and Banelings, you have to run up the hill and kill 2 spine crawlers. This means that you can't run away too far, otherwise you won't reach the spine crawlers in time. I like to practice picking up separate Marines that the spine crawlers target to keep them alive. In this one, we have to block off the Zerglings and Banelings with 1 Marine in the mineral lines. We then kill the spine crawler as soon as possible. We can then split our Marines up separately, so none of them take damage from the Banelings. For this one, speed banes are introduced. We still have to start a step back to kill the Zerglings. However, we now have a tighter window where we have to split our Marines up. In this one, there's just too many Banelings to deal with, so we have to snipe off the 4 down the bottom, before stutter stepping back to kill the Zerglings, before splitting again to avoid the remaining Banelings. You'll notice that in these levels, I try to leave at least 1 or 2 Marines behind, so that the Zerglings focus on them while my other Marines are moving backwards. It also provides as a distraction for the Banelings while you split your Marines back. This level just has a ton of Zerglings and requires a lot of stutter step micro. It also gives some opportunity to snipe some Banelings. In these cavern levels, we have creep, which means that the Zerglings and Banelings are going to be moving faster than they were in the previous levels. We also don't have room to split up our units, so we have to make sure that we leave 1 or 2 behind while the rest of the Marines are stutter stepping backwards, taking out as many Zerglings and Banelings as possible while they move down the cavern. In this level, we have to move our Marines and Hellions separately. I like to send my Marines backwards and start splitting them up early, while making sure that my Hellions get as many shots in as possible. Hellions are the core damage dealers here, and you want to use them to get rid of as many Zerglings as you can before they reach the Marines. In this scenario, we want to use our Hellbats to tank the Zerglings and the Banelings. We can do this while stutter stepping our Marines backwards before splitting them to take out the rest of the units. In this one, you'll need to start by sniping off 3 Banelings. You then have to move as far away as possible from the Mutalisks and take out as many units as you can before they reach you. I'm sure there are plenty of other ways to complete these levels, and I would love to hear if you guys have found different ways to complete them. Playing these games before your ladder will improve your multitasking, your muscle memory, and your micro over time. However, they are not a substitute for the ladder, so make sure that if you want to get to the higher leagues, you play some ladder games as well. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, please leave a like and a comment below. Your comments help me to create more content. If you want access to more of my Starcraft content, you can follow me at 2dsparrow. Thanks for watching.